What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and in today's video, we're talking about the Yankees' reported interest in outfielder Anthony Santander, according to Eric Boyland of Newsday.com. Now, Anthony Santander has spent the entirety of his major league career with the Baltimore Orioles, and this past season had his best season, had a career-high 3.3 F-WAR with 44 home runs in 155 games. He was a premier slugger in the middle of a Baltimore lineup that was one of the best lineups in the sport, someone who has bedeviled the Yankees for years, someone who over the last 3 seasons has been a firmly above average hitter and has provided home run power. But it's not the offense that we wonder whether it fits in Yankee Stadium or not. We've seen it in Yankee Stadium. It certainly fits, but it's the glove. Anthony Santander is one of the less talented defensive outfielders, for a lack of better terms. Across his major league career, he has -3 defensive runs saved, a -13 outs above average, playing a right field in Baltimore that is pretty friendly for fielders. It has that large wall. There isn't as much range needed to play the position. It profiles very similar to right field at Yankee Stadium, except the one difference is obviously that wall. It wouldn't really play very well at left field at Yankee Stadium, and in fact, we've seen Santander play left field with Baltimore. In 2022, he played 299 games there, a -8 defensive run saved with -5 outs above average. Across 638 games in left field, Santander has -9 defensive run saved and -8 outs above average. So this is a truly negative defender if you shift him into left field, where he would have to play at Yankee Stadium. If you shifted Dominguez out there, you'd imagine that the defense would be equally as bad, if not worse, because Dominguez's defense in left field isn't very strong compared to center field, and then Judge would play center field, where his defense is considerably weaker than his defense in right field. So from a defensive standpoint, the alignment isn't necessarily there. He has played first base before. I wonder if that's something that the Yankees take any stock in and go, hey, he's played first base, maybe we try him out there. Maybe he's someone who could come in and be an obscure option or an obscure solution for the Yankees at first base. Would I try it? Not particularly sure. He has a qualifying offer attached to him. He's likely going to command a 3 or 4 year deal, upwards of $70 or $80 million. I don't really know if that's something that the Yankees should do, if that's something that I would be all in on. But, from an offensive standpoint, the fit is clearly there. He's 6th in home runs over the last 3 seasons. He's one of 9 hitters to have at least 100 home runs over that 3-year window. When you're trying to replace Juan Soto, adding someone who has Juan Soto's home run power certainly helps. But there are a couple of things that he obviously doesn't bring to the table that Soto does. His batting average and on-base skills are not nearly as strong as Soto's. Obviously, his strikeout rate's a little bit higher at 20.5%, still below the major league averages, and strike out a ton. That's not really a concern in Santander's game, but he's not going to hit for the same average. He's not going to work walks the same way. He's not going to provide the same OBP. He's just a pure masher. And again, I think there's a role for that in this Yankee offense, depending on who you acquire outside of that. Maybe you acquire more of a contact-oriented infielder, someone like Ha-Seong Kim. Maybe you're able to acquire Cody Bellinger for the outfield, and then you have 2 left-handed bats, a right-handed bat in Kim. You've got some speed in Kim and Bellinger, and some power in Bellinger and Santander. But again, the defensive fit, like, can Santander play first base? I'm not particularly sure he can. Now, granted, in his 73 innings there, he does have 1 defensive run saved and 1 outs above average. But again, that's a 73 inning sample size. It's not one that any analyst would go, oh yes, that's proof that this is a strong defensive first baseman. If the Yankees know something we don't about his defensive data and how he moves at first base and whether that projects well, that remains to be seen. But it's very hard for me to imagine that the Yankees can feel confident anyway, whether it's positively or negatively about a player's defense in 73 innings. And it's something that I don't think the Yankees would pay, upwards of, $15 million a year for. We could be talking about a player who makes, 16, 17, 18, maybe $20 million a year for the next 3 or 4 years. He's supposedly commanding a 5-year deal. Now, I don't see him getting a 5-year deal, but maybe a team gets desperate and gives him that. His market does include a team like the Toronto Blue Jays, who desperately needs someone who can hit the ball out of the yard from the left-handed side. The Orioles would probably like to keep him. I'm not sure they do. I think after signing Tyler O'Neill, it's pretty obvious that they aren't going to be able to. But I'm sure they would love to have him fall back into their laps or something like that. The Red Sox seem to be interested. That's also a fit given the fact that he's a switch hitter. He's someone who profiles well there. He's someone who can play DH or play left field at Fenway, and left field in Fenway is a lot less daunting than left field at Yankee Stadium. It's very similar to right field in Baltimore, where he's been a decent enough defender where you can throw him out there for 150 games a year. I also think that there are other there are other teams that have the fit or the need for him. When you look at projections, you're looking for, how teams play at the DH spot, and that's a position where, yeah, you'd absolutely look at it and say, hey, if my team does not have a strong DH, maybe I'm in the market for Anthony Santander. A team like the Padres, they don't have really a set DH. A team like the Royals, who don't really have a set DH. Perez is more of I guess Salvador Perez is their DH, but he still catches a good bit. You could argue a team like the Giants, who don't really have a DH and desperately need some pop. Maybe the Mariners, even with that weird outfield situation where that backdrop kind of affects hitters. There are teams that need DHs, and I'm sure the Yankees aren't going to be atop the list of teams that desperately search for DH the way that some of these other teams are looking for it. So, they can't really provide Santander consistent starts at the DH spot. Maybe you bring someone in who's a contingency plan for Stanton, but it feels like investing again, $15 to $20 million a year on a contingency plan is quite expensive and quite risky. I'm not particularly sure the fit's there, if I'm being honest with you guys. I love the bat. I think the bat works at Yankee Stadium. He's a pulled fly ball guy. He's going to hit a ton of fly balls. He's going to hit 35 to 40 home runs a year at Yankee Stadium. But again, it all comes down to the defensive fit. Base running wise, doesn't provide you much on the base path. He's kind of a detriment there. This is not a player who, for lack of better terms, just fits what the Yankees need defensively. If the Yankees had an opening in right field, if, let's say, Judge was a quality defensive left fielder for the Yankees, then yes, Santander would make so much sense because he provides power, can play right field at Yankee Stadium. That's not an issue. Someone like Teoscar Hernandez would emerge as a candidate for the Yankees, but it doesn't feel like that's the case here. It does not feel like the Yankees have that defensive fit. They look to be kind of shopping for any outfield they can look for. Jurickson Profar is a name that's come up. Teoscar Hernandez is a name that's been floated before. They've been interested in the outfield market. It just kind of seems like they're not sure who that guy is. Cody Bellinger, those trade talks have seemingly kind of just like dragged on day by day by day. A lot of people think it could happen. A lot of people have rumored this. The Yankees have had a lot of speculated interest in Bellinger. I'm not buying into the reports that a deal was almost done yesterday, but I am more so just kind of inferring based on the Yankees' known interest in Bellinger and the Cubs' known interest in trying to get rid of his salary, especially after they added Kyle Tucker, who makes about $16 million towards the luxury tax because of his arbitration. I'm sure the Cubs would love to free up, roughly $16 million of payroll if they can free up $16 million of payroll, and the Yankees can say, all right, for $16 million, we have Cody Bellinger playing left field for a year. I think those two sides could come to an agreement. It depends on what the Yankees are giving up in terms of prospect capital. If the Yankees have to trade, a Will Warren, I would severely doubt that the, Yankees are going to be not just capable, but willing to make that deal. Why trade someone of value to get a player who, is being salary dumped, right? The Cubs don't want him. The Cubs don't want him so much that they've tried to trade him multiple times this winter already. So, I think personally, you ask me, the Yankees should hold firm on those conversations. They should play hardball at the Cubs. That organization is a strong one. They're a smart one, but they're also one that seems to be constrained by finances, and you can really command the market a little bit on Bellinger by continuing to hold out there. I do wonder when that deal gets done, if it gets done at this point in time. I also hope the Yankees are willing to pivot to other options if they feel like the Cubs market isn't really going the way they hope it will. If they're able to go out and land an outfielder, whether that's Taylor Ward of the Los Angeles Angels, maybe it is trying to bring in Teoscar Hernandez, maybe it is trying to bring in a Jurickson Profar. We'll have to wait and see. But the Yankees are active on the outfield market. They're active on the first base market. They're active on the infield market. It seems that after the Devin Williams and Max Fried trades, that offense should be the priority, right? They acquired Max Fried and free agency, they traded for Devin Williams. They signed Jonathan Loáisiga. That should fill out their pitching staff for the time being. I think Tim Hill is someone they should bring back, but that's someone who's not going to command, a multi-year deal with $10 million a year or anything like that. And then, of course, when you look at the offense right now, it's a huge question mark. There are a lot of question marks with this lineup. They have a lot of work they have to do on that side of the ball, and hopefully they're able to do so over the next few weeks. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's a shorter episode, and this doesn't have Alex in it, but it's Football Sunday, Fireside Giants. There's a lot of action and content going on there. So if you guys are interested in football and New York Giants football specifically, check out Fireside Giants. You guys know to check out me on Twitter at Ryan Garcia ESM, and check out Fireside Yankees on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page, all under the handle at Fireside Yankees, except for Instagram, where it's at fireside.yankees. You guys can also, tune in and check out our other content, whether it's Fireside Knicks, Fireside Rangers, our written content, whether that's on EmpireSportsMedia.com or what we've got going on at Fireside Bets, which is also on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. thank you again all for tuning in. We appreciate you guys so much. Our growth on Fireside Yankees lately has been exponential. I'm planning on going live tonight, so you'll see more of me tonight. We'll have more conversations. We'll have a longer episode. But thank you all again for tuning in. Love you guys so much. Let's go Yankees. Peace out.
Perfect.